The Ode. The Ode is of Greek origin. It is a serious and dignified composition, almost always in rhyme and longer than the lyric. It is often in the form of an address and is sometimes used to commemorate an important public occasion. The Ode is exalted in subject matter and elevated in tone and style. Neither the theme nor its treatment can be trivial or undignified. The poet is serious both in the choice of his subject and the manner of its presentation. He must show himself at the height of its power. The ode is longer than the lyric proper, because the emotion it embodies is of a kind that admits of development. It does not aim at giving the effect of unpremeditated art. It may be full of deep and sincere emotion, but its expression is expected to be much more consciously elaborate, impressive, and diffuse. Unlike other forms of verse, the ode is often addressed directly to the being or object it treats of. The opening lines sometimes contain an apostrophe or appeal, which is characteristic of the whole treatment of the poem. Shelley's Ode to the West Wind begins, "O wild west wind." Keats's Ode to a Grecian urn begins, "Thou still unravished bride of quietness." Tennyson's To Virgil begins, "Roman Virgil, thou that singest," and so on. The Greek ode had two forms. The Dorian ode. It took the name from the district and dialect in which it arose, and the Lesbian ode, named after the island of Lesbos, where it originally flourished. The Dorian ode was choric and was sung to the accompaniment of a dance. Its structure was borrowed from the movements of the dancers. It consisted of three parts: a stanza form known as strophe, during the recitation of which the dancers made a turn from the right to the left; a similar stanza form known as antistrophe, during the recitation of which the dancers made a counter turn from the left to the right; and a third stanza form, different in structure from the previous two, known as the epode, during the recitation of which the dancers stood still. This sequence of a strophe, an antistrophe, and an epode could be repeated any number of times in the ode of this type. It is repeated thrice in Gray's Odes, The Progress of Poesy, and The Bard, which are among the most successful imitations of this form in the English language. From its brilliant use by the ancient Greek poet Pindar, the Dorian form is more usually known as the Pindaric Ode. The Lesbian ode was simpler in form than the Pindaric and has therefore proved easier to imitate. As exemplified in English verse, it consists of a number of short stanzas similar in length and arrangement. The treatment is direct and dignified, and the thought clearly developed. It was popularized in Latin by two great Roman writers, Horace and Catullus. The works of Horace in particular served as a model to English imitators of the form, and English odes of this type are commonly known as Horatian odes, a practice which tends to obscure the Greek origin. In Horatian odes, the stanzas are short and convey the thought in a plain, straightforward fashion. The style is sober and stately after the Latin manner, with none of the passionate warmth of the Pindaric ode. Except for a few attempts in the Pindaric or the Horatian form, the English ode has pursued a course of its own as regards subject matter and style, treatment and outlook, not strictly bound by classical traditions. It is either regular, consisting of a series of exactly similar stanzas like the odes of Shelley and Keats, or irregular when each stanza follows a different arrangements, as in Wordsworth's Immortality Ode and several of the odes of Tennyson and Bridges.